Welcome to the DM podcast, where I am one of your hosts, Mike, with my co-host, Young Scully. What's up, Scully? What's going on?
Not much, man. Everything's good with you?
Everything's always good because the only thing that's not good, first of all, I'm happy. We are doing this podcast late at night because of me, and it's because I had to watch my Green Bay Packers
Shout
beat
out to the Packers.
I had to watch them beat the Kansas City Chiefs, which they did. So thank you, football gods, for allowing me to beat Patrick Mahomes, which I was terrified as Scully saw me watch the game, and I was terrified because Patrick Mahomes, and you gotta be fearful of he's the best player in the league right now, so you gotta be fearful. And Taylor Swift was there too, so I thought maybe Travis Kelce was gonna do something today.
Shout out.
But he
Shout
didn't.
out Taylor Swift. Shout out Jordan Love.
Right. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Jordan Love. Shout out to the defense. Shout out to I'm just happy that this happened for me. I'm very happy this happened for me because I'm very excited. Also, but reason why I'm a little sad is because there's no NBA games today. There's none.
Zero.
There's no
Zero.
NBA games today
Yeah.
because of the in-season tournament being tomorrow and Tuesday, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Orlando. We're going to talk about the Warriors. Of course, we got to talk about our Raptors. And of course, our Ask Scully segment of the week. I got to do that as well. But before we continue, make sure you guys like it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you comment and make sure you subscribe because there's more podcasts coming. The NBA season is pretty, so far, I think most teams are like 20 games in. It's been pretty fun.
It's been an intense NBA season so far. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's first talk about the in-season tournament. Now we're in our final eight. We have 2 games on Monday and 2 games on Tuesday.
Yep.
The way the NBA did it was Monday's games are not going to be the greatest. They didn't care. But the Tuesday games, those are the games they actually care about. You can tell by the way they scheduled it because they already think that the Celtics will win. They'll probably think like the Kings will win. But that Tuesday is with the Bucks and Knicks, which a lot of people like. Then that main event, Suns and Lakers. First of all, what do you think about the final 8? Is there any surprise team for you? Is there any team that you're like, that's a team I think that can kind of make it to the finals?
The team that would say that would kind of make to the finals. I'm thinking maybe the Bucks or the Celtics, right? I don't see any team in the West that made the West in the tournament to make it to the finals. To be honest, I don't see Phoenix, right? I don't think they're making it out. I don't see Lakers making it out. I don't see the Kings and the Pelicans. I don't see the Pelicans making it out.
So you don't think any of those 4? You don't think pretty much for this in-season tournament, you don't think any of those 4 teams are going to win?
The champion, the league championship, league championship, no, not the league championship, no. The tournament, I don't know. One of the teams, I don't know, maybe, but the championship, no. Bucks, Celtics are title contenders, in my opinion. New York Pacers are up and coming. New York is just building on what they had last season and with the Brunson era, right? So that's what it is with me.
They're a good team. So like the first game for the in-season tournament is the Celtics versus the Pacers. That's gonna be a fun game. Like I think no matter what, that's gonna be like that could be 140 to 140 because the Pacers play no defense, but they can score the basket. Ice Halliburton didn't play the other day, and I strongly believe that's just gonna help them out as a whole. Find out my thing is like shining my face. As a whole, but I think the Celtics are probably going to win that. Like you said, I think the Celtics are the favorite to win the in-season tournament, just because they have the defense, they have the offense, they have the center play, they have a great backup center, probably the best backup center in the league. They have some good bench players, and they just have so much scoring that I think they're the best to make it out of the east side of the bracket. But yeah, tomorrow's the Celtics and Pacers. Who do you think is going to win?
Man, I think the Celtics are going to win because at least the Celtics play some defense, right?
At least some.
The Pacers will put points on the board. They're fun to watch, right? They got a nice young team. I love Halliburton, man. He's the assist king, right? He's the assist king, and doesn't average a lot of turnovers either. So this is just another thing for the Pacers to build on, right? Another building block, another them to gain more chemistry, more cohesiveness, and maybe play some sort of defense since the tournament play, maybe, right? But I think they have the most games for 140 this year at 4, I believe.
Yep. Yep.
So it's like these guys, they're not afraid to let it fly, right?
They're not.
Shout
They're
out
not.
to
They didn't have
Membro.
Halliburton, and they still scored 130 points.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's gonna be so the next game after that, which I think should be a good game, is the Pelicans versus the Kings. The Pelicans have
Mm.
been kind of impressive recently. Zion's been playing well. He had 100% shooting in a game. But then there's the Kings, like which that's high power offense. That's the Kings. Who do you think's gonna win that?
Ah, man, I'm going with the better team here, and I'm going with the Kings.
They
Like
are the better team.
BI, shout out to the Pelicans though. BI inconsistent, right? Zion inconsistent. When I mean inconsistent with Zion, which what games is going to be playing?
Right. Right.
BI inconsistent with shooting stuff like that. I don't know. They got what's his name? They got Trey back, right?
You got straight back just last game.
Trey back, and he was playing big, right? So Pelicans, they're a decent team, right?
Yeah.
Pelicans are what 11-10 right now. They're a decent team. Kings are 11-7, right?
Yeah.
Kings are a little bit less games played, but Kings are a better team.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, man, that boy, averaging the most fourth quarter points in the season.
Yeah.
Series?
Yeah.
And these are over superstars like Giannis, Luka, Tatum, right? Embiid.
No, it's gonna. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna give it to the Kings. What about the Knicks and the Bucks? Which I understand the Lakers and the Suns could be like it has like the most star talent, but I feel like the Knicks and the Bucks could be really fun. The Knicks,
That's gonna be a fun matchup still.
right,
That's like running like an old school kind of
right,
NBA, like an old
right,
school East battle, right? New York and the Knicks, New York and the Bucks, right?
yeah.
So
Who
I
do you
like
go?
that.
Who do you think is gonna win?
Man, I'm going with the Bucks, man. Not because they're the favorite to win and all that, but it's because I'm old school in a way. I like NBA teams with some sort of size,
Right,
right? And the Bucks got so much more size than the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks are gonna get out rebounded and whatnot. I feel like the games come down to what possessions. Possessions
right.
win basketball. So I feel like Bucks are gonna have more possessions, meaning they're gonna win the game. So that's my pick with that.
I oddly for some reason I'm gonna go with the Knicks,
Well, the
and maybe
Knicks,
because
man,
they just played the Raptors, and the reason I'm also giving the Knicks, I think they have better cohesiveness. Like I'm not sure if they all get along, but they play together more, or they have a system which they play, which allows them to win games. They play very ISO heavy. It's Jalen Brunson ISO, it's Julius Randle ISO, it's Barrett ISO. We're gonna
but
drive.
adding to that, that's kind of like playoff style basketball in a
Right,
sense, right?
right, right. And we'll talk about the Raptors, but it's almost I feel like what the Raptors are missing. People don't people Messiah said he didn't want selfishness, but I would always say like the one thing the Raptors need to be is a little bit more selfish. I would love to see Scotty Barnes and Pascal shoot the ball and score and just do whatever they want, honestly. Those two guys especially. And the third would be like a great trend, but that's beside the point. But when it comes to the Knicks, they're a good team, and then they have defense and guys like Hart, and then they have a great shooters with a Hart, DiVincenzo. Emmanuel Quickly is a good defensive player as well, who can shoot
Yes.
the three.
Yeah.
So I think the Knicks, and then we go to the Bucks. They're having an identity crisis. I don't think they are playing to their level that we predicted. Their record is good, but it's almost like they're the worst team with the one of the best records in the league. Like
That's a good quote. That's a good quote.
right. There's something off about them. But I get it why you picked the Bucks, because Dame in a one game winner take all. I may go with Dame too. That makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. Suns and Lakers. Who do you think?
Mm-hmm. I don't like the Suns, man. I do not like the Suns. Lakers are playing like up and down.
Right.
I don't know who I'd go with, but if I'm a betting man, I'm a betting man. I'm probably gonna go with the Suns actually.
Yeah.
Probably
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
go
with the Suns.
Lakers because I think LeBron cares. And it's a one game.
LeBron.
LeBron cares and it's a one game. And they got Vanderbilt back. So
Oh man, that guy's a bruiser, man.
yeah, they
That
got
guy's,
Vanderbilt back. They
yeah.
Cam Reddish is playing great defense. I think they can. They're probably and they're deeper than the Suns currently. So I would go with them. So I think we can. both agree that the finals for the in-season tournament, especially, so if I think the Lakers are going to win, I think the Lakers are going to go to the in-season tournament finals, and I think they're going to face the Boston Celtics in the in-season tournament finals, which I think the league would love. If
Of
it's
course.
Boston and Lakers in the
LA,
in-season tournament, Adam
historic
Silver would be
matchup.
like, "This is
Historic
exactly what I
matchup.
did it
Yeah.
for
It's an
these two
historic
teams
matchup.
to make
Yeah.
it this far. This is what I did it for."
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
would see that too. I think the fans would love to see that too.
so since you said the Suns, you think the Suns are going to win? Who do you think is going to be in the finals out of the 8 teams?
Out of 8 teams,
I'm assuming you would go Celtics as well.
okay, so if I'm picking the Suns to make it out, right, the West.
Because you're saying Suns versus, because it would then be Suns versus Kings from your prediction. Do you think Kings beat the Suns?
Honestly, I kind of feel it could go both either way, but the Kings have more chemistry.
They do. Chemistry matters.
It does. So I maybe go to Kings actually. The Kings make it out.
So then Kings
Right.
versus Celtics in the finals.
The Kings versus the C's.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that would be a game. That is a game.
Yeah.
That would be a game. And you're who you go, Kings or Celtics?
I'm going with the C's.
They seem so easily predictable. Like they're good. Like I don't like Boston, but I love Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
I love Jaylen Brown. I love Holiday. Like I think you're a Kristaps Porzingis fan.
I like Crispy, man, and I like Derek White still. I like Derek White. He just fits into any squad. Good role player, man. Plays defenses three. I like White.
I really think this is Boston's to lose. Like I think they're that talented. They have the squad, and I think if Boston knows they win this, you're right. It's all about mentality. You win this in-season tournament, you feel so much better about the regular season, the rest of the season. You're like, okay, we won this. We feel more confident in any playoff scenario now.
100%.
So I really believe that, and that's why once again the season tournament has been a success. You know, I think a lot of people have their thoughts of how they can improve it, which I think they will improve next year. I think they'll sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's been a success so far. Been a big success. So I like how good it's been. Okay, so let's talk about some other NBA news. The first thing I want to talk about, so we've mentioned this before, and I almost want to give you the floor and just allow you to talk about this player, Trae Young. You know, I'm not a Trae Young guy. I'm not a Trae Young guy. I'm not. I think the best version of Trae Young is if he played. I think if he played more team ball. I know he's like top 5 in assists, but I think not all assists are created equal. And you know, someone said this comment years back, a John Wall assist. When you dribble the ball for the first 20 seconds, and then somehow someone happens to be open in the post, or someone happens to be open in the corner or something like that, and like or the dunker spot. I don't think that's a real assist. I think actually playing point guard, really dissecting and trying to figure out the best play for the team is the best. But that's what I think a point guard is. But Trae Young's been balling. He's like average like 30 plus points a game. Like I said, over like 10 assists a game within the last 5 games. So he's been balling. So I gotta give my respect because I think they ball, you gotta just say who's been playing well. I gotta give him my respect. Have you been seeing Trae Young and what he's been doing the past few games for the Atlanta Hawks?
Well, I haven't been watching
9 and 10.
I haven't been watching too much Atlanta Hawks ball, right? I know they're a game below 500. So, but I think the Atlanta Hawks is going to finish around 500 this season anyways, right? Maybe 5 games more, but around 500, right? But Trae Young right now, I can't lie. Last season, first season averaged double-digit assists. This season, same thing. It's like it's going toe-to-toe with Halliburton this year. So I'm loving that. 3-point percentage is not as great, but not as horrible as what we're used to last couple of seasons. So, you know what I mean? I like what he's doing right in Atlanta still. You know, I'm a big Trae Young fan. You know what I mean? I love what he's doing. He's just that little guy that can get in, get floaters, get his teammates involved. Like, I feel like him and DeJounte Murray now, they're starting to put it together. We're going to see them in another, season or two, right? But they're starting actually to build on each other and on each other's game. So it's good to see them play alongside each other. You know what I mean?
I think they need to for that squad. I see that Jalen Johnson has played really well recently. I think Clint Capella is actually a really good like. I think it's one of the see when I say like a perfect center, I think the actual most perfect center is Miles Turner, especially in this day and age because he can shoot the three and play
Yeah,
defense. But I think
yeah,
Clint Capella is a great like rim running, can get rebounds type of center. Like you never have to worry about him. He's not someone who's gonna be like, I want 10 touches a game to kind of
no,
still show my moves.
no,
I wouldn't expect that from him. But I like Clint Capella. I think he's good. Well, you're right. The overall team is good, but like every team in the basically from sixth down, they're all like darn near 500. That's
yeah,
why I know once again, Raptor fans are very quick to want to talk about let's blow up the team, but why do all that? It doesn't make any sense at all. So, and every team is almost mid. Every team in the East is pretty much mid. There's no point of talking about blowing it up.
true.
Trying to retool. I think retooling should always be the best, which is a topic that I wrote in our rundown that I wasn't too sure if we're gonna fit it in, but I think we can fit it in, which I'll talk about now is tanking. I hate tanking, hate it.
Mm,
I think it does not work. Tanking teams who tank don't win titles. It doesn't happen.
no, they don't.
Like people see the dream of OKC and believe that they can do that with their team, but look at every NBA championship. They didn't tank to get there, right?
Exactly, exactly. But it's like teams are falling in love with tanking and falling in love with here's our favorite word, picks, with high
Right,
draft picks, with
right.
top five protected draft picks. And like we said last podcast, how much of these draft picks are really going to pan out to be superstar players? How much top three, two, one picks turned out to be corner franchise changing players? You know
Right.
what I mean? Not that much, right? It's all to do with the player, A, the system they're in, B, and their will to get better, right?
Yeah.
It's those three factors. So it's not only just potential. He's long, he's athletic, he can run the floor, he has intangibles, always going to be a superstar. And then
Right.
he's not in the right team, he's not in the right role. His confidence gets affected because he's not in the right role. It affects him years later. There's so much factors. So,
Right. Which is why like everyone's talking about Detroit Pistons, right? And people are talking about Cade Cunningham like
yeah.
poorly, like poorly, poorly, poorly. And I'm
Like, I mean, he's
thinking,
putting up good numbers. I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
He's
he
putting
is.
up good numbers, right?
He
But
is.
there's no wins. These guys didn't win a game in November.
He did not win a game in November. And it sucks, right? Because the whole team is young. And I don't think there's anyone, and the next topic will be Orlando. There's no one that kind of has that Franz or Paulo type leap you see on that team. It's really
No,
just Cade. Like
it
Cade is
is
the only
him. I
one.
thought it'd be Ivy maybe, but Killing Hayes, just give up on Killing Hayes. Like, just give up on Killing Hayes, right?
Like you could
And
think he's had a better season this year, but like he's he's not gonna be your Franz to like
not at all. Not
he's
at
not
all.
gonna do all that.
No.
So and then like you
You
said,
have the
Ivy,
Thompson twin, like a sewer, I think, on a
he's
team.
good.
Like, it's still so early. He's a good defender,
Yeah,
right?
he can get rebounds.
So like I feel like you need to keep those two, like Cade and Asur, and then I guess Isaiah Stewart. He's a banger too, right? Keep
He's a
those three,
banger.
I guess.
Jalen Duran is good. Like they have a lot of good players, but it's almost once again when you keep getting young draft picks, you got to play them all. Like the issue
Yeah,
that the Pistons have is that they've too much young guys. Who are you playing? You got to play them all.
it's
They got to
true.
play 30 minutes a game,
It's true.
right? So if you don't play them 30 minutes a game, these guys are playing 10 minutes a game just chilling. There's no
Development.
help, right? You can't develop. You're right. Exactly. The
Yeah,
word is develop. There's no developing. So when teams think of tanking, I'm like, what team has tanked? You look at the past few years. Milwaukee did not tank to win a
no,
title. They
no.
got a generational talent in Giannis, which you need to be lucky in the draft. But they also traded for Drew Holiday. They I think they traded for no, they traded for Brook, but they got Brook Lopez. Like
It's
whenever
trades that get these guys. It's not tanking and picks,
yeah,
right?
once you
You
have a
get
talented
demoted.
player, you try to build a team around that talented player. That's what it comes down to. Like
Raptors didn't tank to
they didn't
win,
tank,
right?
right? Lakers obviously did not tank. They don't.
Didn't
They
tank.
they tanked to then trade all those players that they tanked for. Right? They traded
Yeah,
the
you
Randall,
get
they traded Ingram, they traded
that.
Lonzo, they traded all of them, right? For all a bunch of people.
Bi
Yes, BI, they traded all those guys, right? So it's not like tanking helped them. Tanking doesn't help. LeBron was going to LA regardless, so
Yeah,
he
doesn't
didn't
help.
like you didn't tank for that.
Warriors. If you look at the teams that won the last 10 years, Warriors, they didn't tank.
They definitely didn't tank,
No tanking.
right? They just
Like,
weren't a good team. Tanking and not being a good team are two different things.
yeah, Warriors were not a good. Yeah, they were not a good team. Like when they had like okay, Baron Davis years, they were okay, and Monte Ellis, they were kind of
Right.
shaky. And then that's when they drafted Curry, right? Monte Ellis kind of got shipped out. He went to I think Milwaukee after that. Right, that was the end of
Milwaukee or Dallas, one of the two teams.
went to Dallas, I should
Yeah,
say. Yeah, and that was kind of end of Monte. And they didn't tank, right?
they didn't tank.
When
Right.
Spurs got Timmy D, the draft pick, Spurs weren't tanking.
Oh, see, people argue and think that the Spurs did because I think Robinson didn't play, but I don't think they were like.
Who else did they have though? If Robinson didn't play,
Right.
if you really think about it, who else did they have?
Right,
Aside,
exactly. At
you know
that
what I mean?
time, no one. And even like, okay, so did they tank to get Victor? So the only time it's actually the time to tank is if that is a generational draft that's coming. Then
But
you tank. But you
but
never
Mike,
know.
you feel that they tanked or they were just a horrible team? Like if you look at the Spurs roster pre Wemby, who was on the roster?
See, you're right, because that's what leads to my point. Like tanking is basically saying we're gonna be purposely bad, right? The
Yes, right.
Spurs were just like, you're not good enough. Like,
Sohan, Vessel,
right,
Keldon Johnson, and at the time Pirtle.
right,
Like those guys are not. They're not going to get shipped to any team and be starting. You know
right.
that.
Right. And then they're now, I think they won 3 games. They were actually trying to win games in the beginning. They were. They want Victor to like get his reps up, and they want Vassell and Keldon Johnson get their reps up. They're technically trying. It's just not working. Other
Yeah.
teams are just better, right?
I
Look at
mean, you
Sacramento.
can get better. I mean, you can get better. Like with players that are okay, you can get better.
Right.
Right? But
Yeah, like look at Sacramento. They're good now.
yeah,
They didn't tank. They've been trying to win. They just
yeah,
been so shit. Then
yes.
they lucked out on getting Tyrese Halliburton. They are lucky to get him to then
Very.
trade him for Sabonis.
I was shocked. I'm like, really? Halliburton is this
He
is a
was
good pick, and he was I think 14th or 11th.
yeah, somewhere like I think eighth, but
Eighth.
down. He was lower, definitely
He
lower.
was lower. He wasn't, and you know what I mean. I'm like, okay, you guys trading Halliburton, like Sacramento. You guys haven't been good for how many years? You guys trading like
Yeah,
you
it was a
guys had in
risk.
a
It
while.
was a risk. It was a risk.
But
It was a risk.
you
Yeah,
look
it's
at it
like
now, and Sabonis is balling, Fox is balling, like Monk. Those two, Monk is Monk is like hey, balling like he wants to play in the starting lineup.
right, right. Like tanking, it doesn't get you.
Yeah,
Like look at Houston, your team, Houston. Look at them. They had to get the vets to start winning games because without Fred, without Jeff Green, without Dylan Brooks, this team is probably winning 2 games.
the
Legit,
Pistons,
legit.
the Pistons,
With
yeah,
the Pistons, right? So it's
yeah.
like it makes you think like when you like Orlando didn't want to be bad. They just Orlando can't afford being bad because no one's going to Orlando. Like no one free agents going to Orlando. So they
No,
don't actually want to be bad. They want to be talented and good. That's why you think about the certain teams, they want to be good. Like they want to be good. Portland technically wants to be good.
yeah,
Certain teams have always tried to be good. They've always tried to. Indiana always have been hovering. They just
yes,
haven't
yes.
been good.
They just haven't been listening to how the players or the talent confidence yet.
That's it. That's really it. So it's easy to say something like that, but I have always been against tanking. Tanking doesn't get you to where you want to get, where you want to go. Dallas to get Luca, first of all, was a trade. You first drafted Trae Young, and then you got Luca, and also you were bad because Dirk was 40. Okay, like Dirk couldn't do it anymore. Like it wasn't like Dirk was doing highlight plays.
But yeah, they did have a season together, right? Dirk and
Yeah,
Luke.
yeah,
Right?
Dirk
Yeah,
and Luca.
yeah, yeah,
Even you
they
go
did.
back to the Lakers. Lakers weren't tanking. Kobe just got injured.
Yeah. It was just Kobe injured the last like 2 years, just
That's
playing on
it.
like, his last leg and just we
Yeah,
knew from like 2000 and like 12, 13, like Kobe's just he's just playing with all heart,
that's
playing all
all it was,
together.
right? Like
It
teams,
wasn't like he was the real Kobe, like I can take over games and it was just you know
yeah,
what I mean? So and they
teams,
weren't tanking because Kobe was upset. You remember that losing streak
yeah,
the Lakers won a few years ago,
yeah,
and they came on camera and they're like, "Yeah," and they just lost 9, 10
yeah,
straight, celebrating.
right.
Kobe's on the TV show like, "That's celebrating for." Kobe wasn't for tanking.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like the tanking. A lot of they don't like the tanking. It's not their thing. The Cavaliers got the #1 overall pick in Andrew Wiggins, which they could have just built a team with Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving. And they said, "Oh, LeBron's coming back. Okay, cool. Buy #1 overall pick. Here's
Mhm.
Kevin Love."
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it happened. So I think sometimes you gotta just realize Boston never tanked, right?
I remember Boston tanking.
They
What was
never tanked.
Boston's last bad season? You'd feel then.
Right, like Boston just had an amazing trade against the Brooklyn Nets, which traded KG and Paul Pierce, which was a finesse, right? Like a simple finesse. Boston finessed them, and you know, but mind you, I do think like certain teams, you just start the new plan. Like Utah, start the new plan. Start trade marketing. Keep Kessler. Keep Cavante George. Get more assets. I do believe in getting assets. Get draft picks, develop them, then see if they're good enough to do what? Trade. But
Trade.
don't be bad, 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 bad for multiple years. No, get picks and develop.
If you trade marketing now, even though I don't agree with that trade, he's giving you high value. So you're
Super
gonna
high
get like
value.
some good great for marketing. Let's be real.
Yeah, so some people they have good value and then bad value to quickly transition to like a Chicago. When there's Caruso, there's Levine, and DeRozan. All three are gonna get traded.
Yeah.
Who's the
So
guy that everybody
Kobe White,
wants?
they're keeping Kobe White, and I like Kobe
I
White.
think so. I think they're keeping. I like Kobe White. Yeah, I
I
think
like Kobe White,
I would
but I
like to
like him
get
as
Kobe
well.
White. Yeah, a backup. Yeah, backup point guard, backup shooting guard wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, so Caruso, Levine, and Demar. Who does everybody want?
Hold up, Mike. Mike, you're forgetting another person on the squad.
Who?
It's happening with Lonzo.
From what you hear the reports about Lonzo, and it doesn't look good. It
Right?
doesn't look good, right?
Right?
So like I don't know. Cause I don't think he's back next season. I don't think he's back next season.
Wow.
I think
So this season done, next season done. Then I think this contract's up then. No? I
yeah,
believe.
you're right. That would make sense because his contract would have to be up by then.
So I guess they're
Unless
gonna let him.
yeah, like Lonzo, how much I think Lonzo, you would a team will sign Lonzo. If you're like, okay, if he can give me something, you would try it out as a backup point guard. You would definitely try out Lonzo like easily because defender, not a great shooter, but he shot well, but he's a great defensive player. So that
He's a
would
good playmaker too.
and a
Like
great
he makes
playmaker. Yeah,
moves.
great
The thing
playmaker.
is, I'd want to see Lonzo start, but he has to get his confidence back and want
The
to bring him off
health,
the bench.
right?
And yeah,
Because he's still the thing is the man's still young.
he's like 25, like 20.
Yeah, he's still very young. So it's not like he's some old guy. Like when he gets back, he'll still be 26, 27, I believe. Like how old is Lonzo Ball? He's not an old guy. But yeah,
That's the
so
question. Will he lose the explosiveness? Because Lonzo was explosive. He could fly high too.
most likely. Most likely he'll lose it.
So,
Which is he's 26, but still so young. So he comes back when he's 28, like something like that. Still very young. But yeah, so like with the Bulls, you have those three guys. Everybody wants one guy. It's Caruso. Or I would say people would like a Levine, but I was thinking about it. I was gonna ask you, like, for DeMar DeRozan, I don't believe he's a first round pick. His contract's up this year. I don't think he's a first round pick. Like I wouldn't trade him. You have to trade him for like contract, but I'm not trading him for contracts plus a first round pick.
yeah, I'm only trading for contracts. I'm only trading for contracts to balance the books. I'm not trading for no picks.
Yeah, just contracts.
Yeah.
Right.
This contract is a big contract, so you can trade for contract. Maybe get two players. Maybe.
Right.
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 Maybe still have more cap space. Maybe you can move one player, keep the other player. Right.
Right.
But to me,
what about Levine?
Here's the thing: Levine and DeRozan, they're not the best defenders.
Not at all.
Right. So you're gonna get more value for Levine because he can shoot the three better than DeRozan. Right. So, like, you gotta get rid of both of them.
You definitely gotta get rid of both.
I feel like you gotta get rid of Vukovic as well.
The things I don't know who's gonna want him because he doesn't play defense, but like he's one of those guys. His contract is not great, but if his contract was any better, Not saying I'd want him for the Raptors, but his ability to stretch the floor is what I like. Like I love the fact that he can stretch the floor. Like I love Yacht. We need to
I
talk
don't
about
hate
Yacht.
that idea, you know. I don't
Like,
hate that idea.
like me and you like
I
Yacht.
don't
We
hate that
like the
idea.
defensive player of Yacht, but and we'll talk about the Raptors. But to make this the Raptors team better, Vucevic would be great. But you know, Caruso to stay on the Chicago, that guy's probably 2 first-round picks because he is the game changer.
Yes, yes. He impacts the game a lot. Yeah.
Defensively, he is a menace, one of the best guard defenders in the league, and he can shoot the three pretty well. Like he's great. So I think he's gonna go
High
for like
motor. He's a dog still. He's a dog. Yeah.
he's gonna go for like maybe 2 picks. Maybe
Yeah.
he's going for a first round. He's to me out of all three, he's the most guaranteed one going for a first round.
Every team would want a guy like Caruso or wants a Caruso. Every NBA team will
Right.
want if they like we have Caruso to shop. Every team will look like, hey, what can we give him for you? What
Yeah.
can we get for
Right.
Caruso?
So it's he's a guy. That's why I'm curious when Chicago blows it up, like who's going where? Because they're saying DeMar wants to go to Miami or New York. The thing is with New York, DeMar is still good enough. This year has been a great season, but he's still a 20 to 25 point scorer.
100. Yeah.
So I'm always thinking, like, is he gonna come off the bench or something? I don't know. I'm curious on that. Or Miami. He wants to go there or Miami. I'm not sure if him in Miami works well. He doesn't play defense. I believe in Tyler Hero a lot for some reason. So I don't know. Maybe that could work, but I think DeMar's best destination is the Lakers.
It is because every New York, Miami, a lot of guards.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah. The Lakers could use them. Okay, so last week we said we were gonna talk about this team, and we gotta talk about the Orlando Magic. We mentioned them briefly. We gotta mention the Orlando Magic. They're a good team. They're like they're second in the East, I believe.
Yep. Yep. Shout out to the Magic. They
I
got
don't
good
know
young
why.
players.
Like when we made our predictions, I don't know. I thought they'd be like talented, but I didn't think this. I didn't think this. I really didn't think this.
No.
I didn't think they're gonna be the best defensive team in the league. They're good. Like they're really good.
It's like they got a lot of young guys that like to play together. That like we're having fun. It's like it reminds me of like an AAU team sort of thing. Like, you know, everyone's having fun. We're winning too. Like, let's keep it up. Right? No one is, I gotta get my 20. I gotta get my 20. I gotta get my 20. It's just like it's just win the game. Right?
And
you got a couple of little vets. You got a couple of vets on the team, right?
but like
One main vet
little
that I like on the team is Joe Ingles.
right. Like he's the right type of vet because all three they're young. I look at their ages. You know, Paulo 21, Franz 22. I was about to say Carmelo Anthony, but Cole Anthony. He's young. He's 23. Like these guys are young. Suggs, I think, is only probably 22. Yep, 22.
And Anthony Black is a rookie. He's probably like 20, 21.
He's like 19.
He's 19. Okay.
Yeah. So these guys are young. And then I'm looking at
you got the other Wagner. He's not old either. Right.
He's not old, and he's like become an amazing backup. He's 26. He's 26. That's crazy. He's 26, averaging 13 points a game. I don't believe this man. I'm gonna look at this man.
Throwing Gary Harris too. He's healthy now. Throwing Gary Harris.
And he's the oldest. Besides Ingles, he's the oldest guy.
Yeah.
That's wild. I don't believe this guy was ever doing this before in his life. He was not scoring no. Well, he averaged 8 points a game on Mo Wagner, but that whole team, like Franz is averaging about 20.7, well, let's say 21. I'll say Paolo's about 20. Then Cole Anthony off the bench is averaging 15.
Yep.
That could be a 6 man of the year candidate. Like this other team is just fun and good. Like, what else are you seeing from them that you like?
Well, I'm just seeing these guys play with a high motor, get back on defense, doing little things, sharing the rock. You know what I mean? I just see them doing the little things, and little things win games, and they play a full 48 minutes. That's another thing too. A lot of teams don't play. They play like a 40, 36, 44, around the 48. So, and these guys are playing the full 40. The record shows they got guys that can shoot the ball, right? They got guys that, like, Paulo's not a gunner or anything, but He's not afraid to take the three. So guys playing with a lot of main thing though with the Magic is the
He's shooting
C
44%.
confidence. It's
Apollo shooting
confidence.
44% in the three.
From three
Yeah,
this season?
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Well, I
But
stand
he's only attempting 3 times, so I'm assuming they're like really open looks.
That's still good. That's still good,
Yeah,
right? Because you got to guard Suggs, you got to guard Black, you got to Cole. There's maybe Ingles, there's Harris. Like you have Ingles in the corner and Harris in the corner. You have to close both of them out. You can't even both open, especially Ingles. So it's stuff like that,
and
right?
they don't have their center in Wendell Carter Jr., who's a really good center for them.
He's getting
Once
double
again,
double. Yeah,
he he's young. He's 24. Holy moly. I know Raptor fans that we're crying about this stuff because in our minds we want. But like you said, Franz and Paulo, those are your two guys. But even so, their minutes, they're only playing both Franz and Paulo are at the highest on the team, both averaging 33 minutes a game.
that's good. That's good.
That's
That's good.
so good.
Everyone's getting playing time on that squad.
Everyone's getting
That
playing time.
keeps
Everyone's
everyone
getting
happy,
their
so that keeps
time.
everyone engaged, right?
Sorry?
That keeps everyone engaged with everyone getting enough playing time because we hear teams just like, oh, I don't get enough playing time, and guys start sulking, and you know what I mean, and everyone is getting minutes. I remember with the Phoenix Suns when they had Monty Williams, right?
Right.
Guys were playing 42 minutes a game.
Yep.
He was just running them down. I'm like, wow, Monty, right? So that's good.
They have such a good team. And then even like Gogo Badazzi, when they were facing the Raptors, this guy was killing the Raptors. This backup center who I didn't even like, you hear about him, and like he's like averaging like or against the Raptors, the man had like 6 assists.
Wow.
The man, once again, I think I'm going to go crazy. The man's only 24.
Young players.
This team is legit like a team of the future. Them OKC, like Orlando, you don't have to worry about salary cap right now because they're all still pretty young. You don't got to worry about
Everyone's on
that.
a rookie contract still.
But then, like we talked about, when you have this young team, not this year. This year you don't do it. Next year, you start picking up the phone and looking for, hey, maybe you get a vet here, a vet here. The fall, like the third year, you're definitely calling for those vets.
Are we forgetting about Markel Fultz on the squad too?
He's I think he's injured with a knee injury, and
Yeah,
he's he's been so good for them. I won't say so, but he's been good for them,
he has been. He has been. I can't
right?
lie. He has been.
So
So
it just they're a young, talented team that doesn't have to make any moves yet.
nah,
They can
nah.
just chill, do their thing. Let
Like we said,
Paulo and Franz
OKC.
grow.
Like OKC don't have to make any moves yet. Just
They don't.
OKC can chill. Just chill.
I think next season, see where OKC is next year. They got to pick up the phone to make a deal. They got to make pick up the phone. This year they don't got to. Like Orlando doesn't have to do it this year. Next year, let people call you. You just
Even
pick
though I
up and say
feel
what's up.
Orlando has better players overall than OKC. Like I feel Orlando overall has better names on their roster than OKC.
No, it's OKC because they have Chat, they have Shea.
I know you're
Shout
gonna
out to
say that
Shea.
too, but
Shout out to Shea. He's gonna be a dad in 2024.
okay,
So
Jay.
um,
Who's that third guy on OKC then?
I think you say Jalen Williams.
And yeah.
Yeah, you go Jalen, and it goes Jalen Williams. Then it'll go uh, there's a lot. Isaiah Joe.
Oh, Giddy. We're forgetting about Giddy.
I forgot. Giddy, what's up, Giddy? What's up, Giddy?
He's doing the Giddy.
He's he's doing something. He's doing something. I don't know, Giddy. Gotta chill, Giddy. But yeah, Giddy is their next great player. Dort.
There's another guy, center, Poleski. He was there last season. What happened with him? He's injured?
No, I don't think they want to play him. I don't think they want to play him. I think he's
on the spot. They just don't want to play him.
I don't think they want to play him. They have other guys that they rather play.
He was playing decent last year and he could hit the three.
He's okay. Poku's okay. He's okay. He's
not. I was wondering what happened.
See, when you have so much young talent, it's hard, right? There's so much teams that like I think Washington would take a player or two. I think another team would take a player or two.
Washington needs to take a player or two.
That's like Kuzma's getting traded. He's gonna get traded for sure. For sure. If he doesn't trade, he's not gonna be on Washington next year. I can guarantee that. He definitely won't be on Washington. So it all depends on where he's gonna go. But he said like what he does for a squad can be a lot, but we have to wait and see for that. But yeah, like this Orlando team, and I believe in them. Actually, I'm excited to see them in the playoffs. I'm excited to see them in the playoffs. I think they're going to be really good.
Let's hope they can keep this up though for the season.
I think they can. It's the defense. Can you keep it the defense? Because young players, they don't play defense for all that time. But if you're playing these guys 33 minutes a game, it's possible.
It is.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you this Bill Simmons take that he made about Toronto. So I wish like one day we'll get a producer when this podcast blows up, and our producer will just play it. But he had basically said, I'm going to paraphrase, that the Raptors should trade Pascal Siakam to the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I agree that the Golden State Warriors would be the best. Like for Pascal, I want him to succeed, so I think it'll be a best bet. My thought is, I'm not trading my All NBA talent for like nothing. Give me Moody and give me Kuminga, and then you have to trade me Chris Paul as well. I'll do that. But what Bill Simmons has said is trade Andrew Wiggins, who's had a horrible season. I think he's averaging 13 points a game. I think even less or something. Shooting the three at like lower than he had. Free throws are bad. Andrew Wiggins having a horrible season, stat wise, play wise.
I wonder if it's because last season he was away from the team for unknown reasons, and then it's just leading on to this season. I don't know. I'm not trying to speculate what it was, but just that whole leave, right?
So Andrew Wiggins and Kuminga, who has been up and down this whole season. So the reason I'm telling you this is the reason why he said it. He's like, oh, Pascal, he's like, who was saying no? He keeps saying, who will say no? Wiggins can go to Canada. He's from Canada. That's why they should trade him. Like,
thanks, Bill.
And then he's like, and Kuminga, he's from Congo, so you know how Masai is. Who says no? What does that even mean? Wow. So you're telling me that we're gonna trade Pascal Siakam for Andrew Wiggins because he's Canadian, and for Kuminga
because he thinks Masai's his uncle.
What? Like, come on. That's crazy.
Thanks, Bill.
And then everyone's commenting like, bro, so you think we don't care. The Toronto Raptors do not care for any Canadian player. We do not care.
We care for good players. We care for good players.
You say Shea, hey, we'll trade a lot for Shea. We'll trade a lot for Shea. Like
we'll trade a lot for Shea.
I'll trade a lot.
Trade a lot for Shea.
You just tell me I'm
trade our picks and Siakam for Shea.
Easily, come on, man.
Shea is like 24 right now, so
I'm trading for Shea immediately. So you tell me that's for sure. But it was just such a dumb thing. So I feel like I had to tell you. How stupid do you think it was, that comment?
That was a horrible take. Like that's one of those takes where it's like, I want to go viral, probably.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be like I want to go viral because, like, Kuminga's like Masai's Kuminga's uncle. Are you serious? Type shit.
He's African, so why not? Who says no? Wiggins is Canadian. He's having a horrible season, but Canada accepts everybody. What is this?
I haven't heard nothing about Wiggins this season to the point like he's still in the Warriors. He's still injured. Is he injured? I've heard nothing about Wiggins.
And see, our next topic was about the Warriors. We'll make the Warriors.
Let's start with these guys.
Like they
trash.
What would you do if you're their GM? Like we talked about them like weeks ago, but what would you do now?
I'd have to call someone that actually knows basketball first and be like, okay, we drafted Wiserman. We're gone with the wind. Poole, we had to trade him. Wasn't working out. Moody, up and down. Kuminga, the G League Ignite player that was going to work, up and down, shooting the three, whatever, right? And those are the last four guys on the squad that we had some sort of high hopes for, right? Warriors were known for developing players into good players, right? Drafting good players and developing players, making good trades, picking up free agents.
Right.
You guys picked up Gary Payton II again. Like, who did you guys really pick up? You guys have Looney now. Like, this roster is not that good. If you look at the roster, it's not that good.
Yeah.
Overall. You know what I mean? Clay is declining. The only person that's really doing what they have to do is, in all honesty, Curry. He's really, and Kevon Looney's rebounding. Draymond, though, is shooting the three pretty good this year. He's above like 36% from three this year. It's pretty good.
Crazy. Yeah, it's good.
He's averaging more than 10 points, which is not bad. So Draymond, we're not going to blame Draymond, but the team, not this time. But the team overall is not built to win. Guys are not really playing how they should be playing. They made a lot of decisions in the past that are kind of catching up to them now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know they won a ring a couple years ago, but Chris Paul doesn't help these guys, I don't think. You know what I mean? He's a good player. He's a good guard, but as success to the Warriors, he's not adding anything to the Warriors that they don't have already, right?
I think with the Warriors, it's the problem that like teams, everyone thinks they can do it, but it's so hard to be good, like good championship good, and develop at the same time. It's actually so hard. It's hard to do it. It's hard. Like when they won the title before, like 2 years ago, they were playing like a 7-man rotation with a Gary Payne the second, third, whatever. He was playing minutes. Like they were a good team, right?
Was playing good too, right?
They had Otto Porter starting. Like their vets were playing, so it's not like they were like their starting unit would have been Steph, Clay, Otto Porter, Wiggins, and Draymond. So then your backup is Looney, Gary Payton, and I think they did play Kuminga a little bit of minutes. But if you're telling Kuminga at like 19, just like run around, be active, he'll do that. You know what I'm saying? That's not bad. Moody, I think, played some minutes as well. Oh, and Jordan Poole. Why am I forgetting him? So they were going 8 deep with just guys who kind of knew. And Jordan Poole, we just need you to shoot the ball, and Looney will get the rebound. Draymond's gonna play some deep. Like, so I think now it's hard because you're asking Kuminga and Moody to be somebody. We need you guys to be somebody.
Players. They're not those players yet.
They're not. They need more development. Clay's on a decline, and Clay doesn't like being told he's on a decline, but Clay, you are on a decline. It's not a bad thing. It's just age. It's just
like age. You had injuries. You had
That's it. It wouldn't be the case, but it is right now. Okay, let's talk about. Let's go to our Ask Scully segment before we get to our Raptors. I want to ask you if you can tell me a player that in the past we didn't talk about a lot, but was a good player. Oh, in the past, they were good players, but now people don't really remember them as good. An example I gave you, which I'll mention, is Ben Gordon, Chicago Bulls. Ben Gordon, Chicago Bulls time, that man led them to the playoffs. Like people talk about like Derrick Rose that season, but Ben Gordon was something. Ben Gordon can shoot the ball.
I remember Ben Gordon was balling.
He just wasn't in the league for too long, but he was a baller. Is there anyone kind of like that you feel didn't get as much love?
Well, I got a player, man. And if you could go back to, not too far back, but let's say 90s. He played for the Nuggets. He was a guard. Changed his name. Original name, Chris Jackson, right? Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Yeah.
You remember him? Light skin.
Yeah.
He was killing a lot of those teams in the 90s. Man, I was averaging like 15 a game, 3.5 assists, 2 rebounds, right? And he was under 6 foot.
Yeah.
For the Nuggets. He doesn't get spoken about enough because he was kind of shooting a lot of threes those days too, with 3 to 4 attempts in those days, right? And there's only like a handful of guys that were really shooting a couple of threes at those days. Reggie Miller in the 90s, Chris Mullin, Chris Jackson, right? Ray Allen.
Yeah.
Who's the fifth in the 90s that was really shooting threes like that? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but those 4 guys were the guys that were, you know what I mean?
He was a shooter.
The league kind of, disowned him in a sense because he changed his faith, became Muslim. Especially in the 90s, it was like, oh my God, right?
Yeah. They definitely disowned him, for sure. That's a good pick. I like that pick. Yeah, he's a guy that, like, he was a shooter. Everyone's like, before Steph, it was him. So he's a shooter. Is there any player, the second part of this Ask segment, any player that you feel like in the future people won't talk about that person as much? there's one person I want to name. It's almost a little biased, but like I kind of think people won't know how good DeMar DeRozan was. Right? He kind of just falls under that category. Like, will you know how good he was, especially for a brief period of time? He was like the best shooting guard in the East. Because the best shooting guard overall was James Harden. Then maybe one more person, but then like I feel like DeMar was like, if not number one, he was number two best shooting guard in the East for like a season. Like he was good, like real good.
He was. That brings me to a name I want to bring up, but I know it's gonna, ruffle some feathers, but kind of reminded me of like a Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah.
He had a couple good seasons, right? He got injury derailed him and gun charge. But during those couple of seasons, he was shooting like 8 threes a game and hitting game winners and going off on Kobe and Kobe in his prime days too, like 08, 09, 06. So
anyone now that you would say that people aren't going to talk about in the future, in like the next
now,
20 years?
Next 20 years, I want to say D Rose.
Oh, perfect. You're right. You're right. People won't know how great he was. That man put fear.
We won't even know how great he was, and we've seen glimpse of it, like the first 3 seasons where this guy was literally taking down the Heat.
Yeah.
Heat.
He was good.
And it was one man who was also scoring. Not Luol Deng, not Noah, Joakim Noah, not Boozer, not Brewer.
He was good.
Not CJ Watson. Who was scoring on that squad? Taj Gibson?
He was good. Rose was people the highlights will do a little justice, but it won't do the justice. That man was something. He was something. He was something for sure. For sure. Okay. Great segment. Let's talk about our Raptors. They're now 9-11. So 20 game mark. Look at the rest of the East. It's almost borderline the same. I Raptor fans don't need to panic or anything like that. But the one thing that I mentioned last week that I'm just going to reiterate again with this Raptors team, it's all they are not built correctly. They're just not built correctly.
No.
This could be a good team. Like I watched the Knicks game. They can build the team almost because I can see what they're doing. And Messiah borderline said it. Kayla Gray asked him a question, and she was like, "What is the future of this team? Like, what do you kind of see?" And he's like, "Well, we're still evaluating, right?" So it seemed like he really didn't know, but he also just can't say it because he can't tell you. But what he really wanted to say was like, I only want to talk about. I think it's probably gonna be cheesed at that interview if I'm thinking. But he said we're trying to build around Scotty Barnes. He said that, which I'm surprised he said that. So it's like, oh shit, that's what you really are trying to do, build around Scotty Barnes. And I think if people can see the game, Scotty and Pascal can play. Scotty's shooting darn near 40% shooting three. That's Pascal's shooting horribly shooting three. But and I'll get to the real question that I'll ask you. But that's what they're doing. But in order for this team to build, you need to put the right players around them. You have to put the shooters around them. You need to put Gary Trent on the court with a Scotty. It has to be Gary, has to be OG. We both like Jakob Poeltl, but your most ideal person is a shooter as a center. That's what your most ideal scenario is.
That's the floor, yeah.
He stretch the floor. So I feel like the Raptors won't succeed until it's not a Pascal fault or a Barnes fault. Those two guys are both averaging 20 points a game. Sky's averaging 9 rebounds. Pascal's averaging 7. Pascal's averaging about like 5 to 6 assists. So is Barnes. So their stats are darn near comparable. Barnes just has more rebound. Darn near comparable, I think, and then Pascal has more points. They're the same damn player. So these guys can all average. Both these guys can average 7 assists. If one, then a shooter stop having the damn ball so much.
Then a shooter kind of holds the ball. No, I can't say dribbles the ball. Yeah, he needs the ball in his hand. Yeah.
So if you take his usage down, and just have these two guys orchestrate, I'm confident this team would be. I'm being a Raptor fan right now, but I'm saying this team is not losing as much games as it lost this season.
No.
What say you?
No, like the thing is with shooter, it's his role. Like he's a guard. He's not a good shooter. He's shooting better, but he's not a good shooter.
Yeah.
So for you to have a player that's not a good shooter, it's like saying John Wall, play off ball.
Right. Right.
Like that's gonna be like speaking Chinese to John Wall. He's like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
John Wall in a catch and shoot situation or like a pin down to catch the ball and to make a play, like that's not. And when it's like asking Schroeder to do that, so he doesn't dribble the ball as much, and then you need a center that stretches the floor. I feel like we need to change one first, and then work with the other one. So either we have Schroeder in different action, or we need a new center. And I feel like we need a center that can stretch the floor, run it like that, and see, okay, is Schroeder the real? I'm not gonna say the problem, but we need to tweak what he does on offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel we need to go that route because what you said a couple podcasts ago, where it was like Masai's obsessed with length, long wing defenders and whatnot, but can they shoot? Can they score? Can they play make? Not really.
Right.
Not all of them, right?
Yeah.
And we can't develop every single player that we get, or we can't treat every player like they're a project.
Right.
You know what I mean? There should be players that come in and we show them the playbook, this is your role, and you go out and you know what I mean? Instead of so I agree with you. I agree with you still. I do agree with you.
I think when it comes to because like someone like Otto Porter, people are wondering on Twitter, why isn't this guy not playing? But I think it's also because he's older and he's had so much injury history that they wanna keep him ready. Like I can now see it. I think it's more of a they want him to be ready later on. That's what like they need him for the last 40 games, not the first 40. Let him get he's gonna play. But I think if him and then Grady Dick, he's a shooter. He's gonna shoot better. He hasn't been shooting recently, but once he does and he shoots the 38 to 42% that we all believe he can do, and then that, which is really good. My thing is like I like Yak. I think I want to say I don't think he's the issue. I think I like Darko. I think Darko's a really good coach. People love him. You hear like Devin Booker's like this guy. He's an underrated coach already. He's like this guy is a great coach because Booker. Yeah, because Booker he was a assistant coach in Phoenix and he's assistant coach in Memphis, and everyone raves about him, right? So and I see the way he is as a coach. He's good. Do I like the way they play offense? I'm not the biggest fan. I think the ball should be under every time the ball's in Pascal's hand, it's like a 1 point something per possession, which is like top 10 in the league. When it's in, and which means every time Pascal gets the ball, good things happen. Either gonna be a shot, like a 2 point shot or a 3 point shot with somebody. Like when he has the ball in the post, great things happen. Same thing with Scotty. When they both have post touches, it's good. It hurts them when they drive down the lane because Pirtle is right there. But I've seen so much times Pascal draw two people and then passes the Pirtle in the dunker spot and boom, it's easy, right? So I just think I my personal thing is you got to move Schroeder, and Schroeder's not playing bad. I think he's not playing bad at all. I just think if you want to start winning games, he can't start. These two guys are your best players. Build around the two guys, right? If Scotty's your best guy, you build around Scotty. You put Schroeder,
and it's not like a knock to Schroeder because he's used to coming off the bench anyways for his career. So it's like okay, we're off the bench. It's not gonna hurt his ego like that and affect his play, right?
So, you're hoping not. You're hoping not because like he's because he's been good. He's averaging like 15, 16 points a game. So the one question I want to ask is for this Raptors team, right? It's all about what do they want? Like, what do you want? And then what Darko is doing. When you're playing, and like you just said, not everyone can develop. But when you're trying to develop players, there's going to be mistakes. So you need Pascal to shoot 5 threes a game because eventually he's going to shoot 35 or 30 some percent. He's going to get better at it. You need Precious to make boneheaded plays all the time. You need a Jalen McDaniels to do this. You need everyone to do more. So it's almost like you're going. So then I'll ask you, do you try to win games and just optimize winning, or do you try to make and develop everybody? Because you like I said, you can't really do both. You can develop one guy at a time, but you can't develop everyone. But if you're trying to develop everyone, it's process. So fuck the wins. You forget wins because then you're focusing on process. So what would you try to focus on if you're the Raptors, the process or the winning?
And we won a ring when 2019. I'm
Yeah.
focused on winning.
Yeah.
I'm focused on the winning. Like I feel like we have certain key players that could get us to win and to get us to be competitive. It's just other players we need to move, or player we need to move to get us that way, to get on that direction, to get that direction. I'm gonna say, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't want to be developing a team. One or two players, okay, the obvious is understandable, but to have like 4 to 6 guys, like, okay, this is a project player, this, these guys are a project. Wait to see the team in another 3 years. I don't really want to hear that.
Right.
Like our project was Siakam, our project was Scotty, right? Those were our project right now is Scotty, I should say.
Yeah.
We should be focusing on him and Grady Dick, right? The two, right? Like we're training for McDaniels, one like that shouldn't be another project, right?
We should have never got McDaniels. When Kelly Oubre was there, we should have never got a McDaniels. I don't get because McDaniels, and they'll lead me to the next thing. Chris Boucher is not playing as much, but every time Chris Boucher is on, good things are happening. He's been your best bench player. Like I think your bench, Gary's been playing a lot better, and then Malachi, like that's your three. And then if you play Otto Porter, that's a really good like backup.
Malachi's been playing better because he's got a confidence, right? He's got
With
confidence.
confidence, right?
He
So
knows he has a role now. Like this is what I'm doing every game. How much minutes I'm
right,
every game, right?
right,
Trent, you already know what we're gonna get from Trent. Boucher last season, a couple seasons ago, he's been taking bad shots,
right.
right?
This season
So,
he's
but
averaging like 40% shooting the three.
numbers speak.
Right.
That's what I say. Numbers speak.
Right.
I'm a coach. If I was a coach, if you're the coach, you're going with the hot hand, whoever that
Yeah.
is. If McDaniels is hot that game, guess what, McDaniels? You're playing 35 minutes that game.
Right.
Because it's about winning. It's not about the politics of who's getting paid more and this and that's about winning. And I feel like the Raptors, that's how they coach. It's not about politics with money, because I think Gary Trent's getting paid more than Schroeder, right? Am I mistaken?
I think Gary plays. Yeah, he should be because Gary should be getting like 16. Schroeder's on a mid level, so he should be getting like 14 million or something like that. 15.
So there's some politics. So like, you know what I mean? So there's some guys that are getting paid more than on the bench, I
I
believe.
think
What's that one?
Dennis
So
is it's more of the coach. Him and the coach know each other, and I think Dennis understands Darko's offense more than
that's
most people. So I think that's what's happening. But ultimately, I just think to make if you want to win, then you have to ignore the process, right? Because the winning is going to help the process. When the Raptors
yes.
were good, you had the bench mob, you had the young guys, you had the Pascal, Fred, DeLon Wright, OG, Norman Powell. You had all those guys developing, but they're developing together as a bench unit. So you had pretty much went 5 deep with bench guys, with a CJ Miles as their vet, right? But this team is too up and down with like guys who are older and like a Pascal and Dennis and a Pirtle than the young guys and a Barnes and a Gary Trent and a Malachi. There's if you want to win, then you got to play to win. And I think
Yes.
the winning it has to be you have to put the right pieces in the right places. So I don't even blame this team, the Raptors. They're a good team, but they could be better if they didn't have guys like, and I like a Jalen McDaniels for the defense, but you can't have Jalen McDaniels, Precious, and Chris Boucher. Just too much of the same person.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like we're focusing on defense and
So
length.
much.
And it's like, that's good. Focus on defense. You need defense. You need to have length, but balance.
There's
That's
just
the balance.
perfect word, balance. There's just not a balance. Like we talked about Orlando. Orlando has a balance. They have they play hard. Suggs is an amazing defender. Probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year in like 3 years. Cole Anthony's a good defensive player. Like they have good defense. Franz is pretty good in defensively. They're good, right? So it's just like, but then they also balance out the offense. But here it's all like, oh, let's see how great of a defender you are. Oh, you're a top end defender. Perfect. We'll teach you how to shoot. That is not always going to work. There's too much. There's too much teaching.
Instead of
Barnes,
just playing, going and
Barnes is the
learning.
one guy that's he's like I said, the way he's shooting the ball lately, that's been really good. It's been really good. But that's really it with our DM podcast for the day. Any last comments you wanted to make? Anything you want to talk about?
Nah, man. I think we covered a fair bit. We got a lot more podcasts to go. So
a lot more podcasts to go for sure, for sure. Especially this in-season tournament. By the time we talk next, the in-season tournament will be done. I think the finals is Saturday. Next Saturday. We talk Sunday. So
yeah, it's tomorrow, Tuesday, and Saturday, right?
Yeah, and it's two. It's yeah, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday is the semifinals. Then Saturday would be the finals.
Okay,
So
okay.
it should be some fun time. Hopefully the Lakers win because LeBron winning always makes you happy. So why not? And then hopefully the Raptors. They have Miami, which I believe on Wednesday. And Bam, I don't believe is coming. But if Jimmy comes, it's going to be a hard game, and it's Miami, so we can't act like
that was a hard game against Miami. They just
right
know how to play. It doesn't matter who's in the roster; they're going to play hard.
And then they face Charlotte on Friday, which should be a win. But with the Raptors, only against Washington do they know how. Was it Washington? No, Detroit. They are beating a bad team. The Raptors have to learn how to beat bad teams because clearly the Raptors compete against good teams. It's the most frustrating thing. Against good teams, they actually compete. Bad teams is like they like to play even with them, which is kind of weird.
Bad teams are like mediocre-ish teams. Let's say like the Hawks, like you know what I mean?
Right. Which I think they face the Hawks and the Knicks. Their next few games are against the teams that are just like right around them. So I'm curious to see what they do for the
like
next
11 wins or 9 wins, right?
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see. Because the Hawks are the most up and down team. There's a stat, quick note before we leave. It was a stat with the Hawks that ever since 1980, they're like basically a 500 team. They're 4 games under 500, and since they like signed Dejounte Murray, they've literally been 500 for most of their like time. So there's a 50-50 organization. But make sure you guys like, subscribe. That's why, yes, that's Skulls. It's me, Mike. Make sure you guys comment, and we'll talk to you guys again. Peace.